Hello, everybody. It has been a tumultuous time in the world of Horus Heresy, but me and Lee are finally back to give you our thoughts and feelings and emotions, and we'll all hold each other close and get through this one. What are we looking at today, Lee? It is
We're looking at the old world hammer.
the Rules Drop Massacre. So.
Oh,
It's what a time. What a
what
time
a
it has
time.
been. So, we desperately wanted to record over the course of the weekend. But Lee was at work and I was
Yes.
at James's wedding. So, unfortunately, I
That
couldn't do
fucking
that.
guy.
I know, he's always holding me back.
Oh, he's such a
Iron Hand Chad,
yeah,
even.
yeah.
So, I think we will just give, just before we get kind of started proper, we'll just give a quick kind of timeline of events and what happened.
Do we have to give a saltiness warning? Do we have
I
we moved
think
beyond that?
yeah, in terms of the five stages of grief, I think at this point I've reached acceptance, which is probably good
Okay.
that we are recording this show at this point now. I don't know where you are. Are you at anger
Yeah.
bargaining?
Kind of run out
One
of
of the
doors
five.
to hit.
Yeah, we shouldn't laugh really because people are sort of like weeping over their things, but
Yeah.
we laugh only because otherwise we'd cry.
Yeah.
So I think it should be. If you've never watched Heresy Hammer before, I suspect there will be some pretty violent language around what we're going to discuss. So
And
if
that's
you
just
have
Rob.
a sensitive constitution and dislike
Yes.
swearing, I suggest you leave right now. Thanks ever so much for sticking around for the first 30 seconds. But I suggest you leave because we have got some spicy takes on what we're going to talk about today. But let's just give a brief
Yes, yes,
explainer
yes, yes, yes,
around
yes.
the kind of like the timeline of timeline events. So essentially, and we'll get to Warcom articles later. But essentially, we got news of a new edition. We'll go into details on this a little bit later, and then of course, we got an awesome video. Saturnine told that the box was dropping. And then a couple of weeks later, I think we had basically the rulebook leak, and that was essentially down to what appears to be it was stolen, nicked in America from a warehouse. Don't know. It's just an urban myth at this point, right? I don't think we actually know
Yeah, we'll
exactly
never
what
know,
happened.
will we?
Initially, it was sold on Facebook Marketplace or being tried to sell on Facebook Marketplace. It was then kind of sold kind of a week later on eBay, and then from there, those books went out and those boxes went out to people, and then from there we got kind of a trickle. An avalanche is probably not the right way to describe that rule book leak. A
No.
trickle of things kind of coming every so often. Now, I think from that rulebook leak, we got the sense that this was more of a substantial change than Games Workshop had let on in their previous Warcom articles. Again, we will come back to Warcom and exactly what they've said because I've been doing some research yesterday and trawling back through Warcom articles. So we shall put the evidence in and put Games Workshop in the dock and put the evidence before them a little bit later. But we really didn't get a sense of. We had a lot of missing jigsaw puzzle pieces because we didn't have the Libers in hand for all
Yeah.
five of those Libers, essentially. So you could start to guess and work out where the changes might lay. Certainly, combat had changed significantly, challenges had changed significantly, psychic powers had been toned down, aerial assault, that had completely changed from what we understood. So there were significant changes, but we didn't know. And then this I would describe as an avalanche of leaked Liber information descended on us from Wednesday, Thursday onwards. And it was that point at which people realized just how substantial the changes were going to be to the game, but particularly to their armies. And if you have been on social media for at least 2 minutes over the course of the past 4 days, you have seen the anger, the disappointment, the frustration, and in some cases, the optimism about a new edition. And what we're going to do today is discuss all those things. And I think I'm going to say this one, I don't know about you, but if I had recorded on either Friday or Saturday, I think I probably would have gone into this less level-headed than I am now.
Yeah, it would be a very different show. It would be
Yeah,
a very different show.
but
Yeah.
as I say, I've worked my way through the 5 stages of grief, and I'm now at acceptance. So perhaps we can talk about this in a more level-headed way. However, that is not to excuse Games Workshop for what I think has been a ill-judged decision on the number of war game changes, and as I say, we'll get into that in a bit. But just your initial thoughts, Lee, just before we get started. How are you feeling about it now? Because I know that basically the 3 units you get to paint a year, basically 2 of them have just been obliterated.
Pretty much
by a Powerfist that isn't on a Tartarus Terminator.
I would say pretty much at this moment in time, most of my army is unusable, according to Games Workshop. Obviously, there will probably be ways around it, but yeah, like honestly, now I'm just a bit like I was in a funny position because all the leaks were coming out, and I've been in work since Thursday, and I've worked Thursday, Friday, and all weekend. And when I'm in work, I kind of don't have time for anything else. I'm kind of just at work. So
saving lives, right? Putting out fires.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So like I was kind of struggling to keep up with everything. So like I'm aware of the changes that affected me. You had to be blind to not be aware of like the internet losing its fucking mind. But yeah, my initial thought was just like, fuck you, GW. Like, fuck you. Like, this is just a fucking dog shit decision. Like, just makes no sense at all. Like, and still doesn't make any sense. But I think I've moved beyond that now, and I'm just a bit, if I'm honest, just a bit deflated, just a bit like, really? Because this should be like a new edition. I know a lot of people don't like the rules, but I actually quite like the rules, and I do genuinely. I'm not just fucking saying that, internet. Like, I do actually like some of the changes.
Yes, we should be clear just as well. I mean, I don't know how many times we have to say this. We do not get free shit from
we
GW.
Get nothing, from
and nor
GW.
would we accept free shit from GW. We are. I describe ourselves as the bad boys of Heresy, I think. And as a result, we will never get things from GW.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we are literally supported by 3D printers. Do you think Games Workshop would fucking send us stuff? Like, seriously.
Come
if
on.
I say I like something, it's because I like something. If I say I don't like something, it's because I don't like it. Not because I am cupping GW's balls.
Notching down on GW cock.
Like, so yeah, I do genuinely. I was excited when we saw like the rules leaks. Again, I can't read rules on a potato cam. Like, so I've had a quick flick through them, but I am not at all au fait with the. I could not play a game now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I need that rule book in my hand to be able to sit down and read through it. But I have an understanding of how the game has changed, and it's massive changes. But I actually liked him. I was not a huge fan of second edition. Like, I play it because I love the heresy, I love the scene, I love the people. But second edition was not my favorite. I would have easily gone back to first edition rather than play second edition. It's just my personal feelings. So I was happy for a change, and what I was seeing, I liked. I wasn't so sure about all the challenges and all this shit, but again, the community has ways of adapting things and working around things, so that didn't bother me. But yeah, as soon as I saw just how, and we've put warnings out, we'd heard rumors, we have not. We saw the Libers when everyone else saw the Libers. Like, we had not seen them any earlier, but we had heard lots of rumors, and I guess I was kind of naively keeping my fingers crossed that it wasn't true, and then I saw it and I was like, oh, for fuck's sakes. Like,
from what I've been told, what I'd heard, the changes were far more sweeping and arbitrary than I thought they would be. Seeing them in black and white, with fuck Pardo all over them, poor bloke. We'll perhaps get onto that a little bit later, but we don't need to dwell on that too much, really. But the sort of it was far more arbitrary.
I was just literally like, Warsmith can't use because it's not Terminator. Forge Lord no longer has rules. Breacher Squad,
I'd love to say some
can't
Thalax
take
in my
Volkai.
list. Oh
Yeah,
no.
like
oh,
to take
no.
Thalax, can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like they've watched Heresy Hammer. They've watched what you have in your army,
like,
and then just utterly obliterated
that
it.
Lee doesn't paint very often. Well, fuck his entire army. My Tartarus Terminators can't take. So yeah, literally.
Okay, well, we laugh only
fucked.
because we will cry. Anyway, what we're going to do today, we're going to, I think, what I'm going to try and do is present a case against GW, and I'm going to try against GW. Sounds a bit fruity, but I'm going to try and put your case across to GW. So if anybody from GW is watching, I think I'm going to try and articulate how people are feeling and the context as well. So what I don't want to do is get into sort of just outrageous, although there will be some swearing. I don't want to get into outrageous mudslinging. I do want to try and break down exactly why I think this has been a problem and why people are so frustrated. But to do that, we're going to start with what I would describe as the tenets of heresy, and by this I mean kind of the pillars of heresy. So if we just go on over to the next bit. So in order to kind of break it down into easy podcast form, I've kind of broken it into 5 sections, and it'd be good to get Lee's thoughts on this, because I basically just didn't invite Lee to give me any suggestions at all on this one. But so I would say there are 5 core things at the heart of most, if not all, heresy players. So the first one is the gaming. Now I've put in terms of narrative there. I think the vast majority of people enjoy narrative gaming. They enjoy relaxed games. They just want to turn up to an event and just play with cool guys, cool girls, cool anybody's, and they're just pretty chill. Now, I think that what I would say is that some of you might be throwing your head back and laughing like musketeers here. You know, that's rich coming from Rob, because obviously I play competitively and have won a tournament in recent months, because I particularly like the strategic nature and the tactical nature of the game. But I am somebody who also enjoys the narrative element and having a relaxed game as well. I am not a single faceted human being. I can do 2 things at once. I think. And would you say that's fairly that kind of like that first first
I think everyone plays a game to win, doesn't they? Some people take it more serious than others, but I think at the end of the day, there's always outliers, and this is kind of, you know, a bit of a sweeping statement, but it's a generalization, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think most people who are going to events or playing their mates in their garage or whatever, they want a cool game that looks cool, and, you know, maybe a thematic mission or whatever, rather than just I'm gonna fucking kick your dick in. Now,
and the game being over by turn 2. Right? Yeah.
So yeah, I'd agree with that.
So then the next tenet, I would say, I've perhaps done this in the wrong order, but is painting. So I would say what sets the Horus Heresy apart from many other war games, but also war games within Games Workshop, is the attention to detail and the enthusiasm of many heresy painters to get better at their painting and try and paint to the best possible kind of ability. Now, we have done lots of shows and talked about why that is and the history of that, and the where that kind of came from, and the embryo where it all started at Forge World. We talked about MK, we talked about Co-op Paint, we talked about, you know, all those important people along the you know, Mark Bedford's, the Matt Cain's, all those important people along the way who helped in kind of like building that journey. But as a result, I often find myself, when I go to an event, looking at stunning looking armies that are coherent, that look awesome, and I often find that heresy painters invest, and this is the important bit here, invest more time in their hobby than lots of other people, because they want their armies to look good on the tabletop. All right, you could say, look, it's a bit of a competition. There are lots of awards floating down at events, but in general, people like the pride that they feel and are willing to spend extra time making their models look good. And I think the time element is the bit that I want to emphasize here in my opening case against GW. The next one is the law. Just before we move on, would you say, Lee, that's a fair assessment?
Yeah. I would agree wholeheartedly. Obviously, there are varying levels of how well people paint, but it's rare. It's very, very rare that you see someone that's just whacked on the minimum amount of,
very rare,
you know, 3 colors, whatever it is.
Exactly.
It does happen,
rare.
but it's rare.
Yeah. The next one is the law. I think that universally, I think we can make a generalization here, is that Heresy players are in it for the lore, the stories, the black books, the Siege of Terror novels. It's just a great story. Like, it's a great sci-fi fantasy, like epic, with sweeping arcs, character developments, awesome moments, very talented authors. Altogether, it's just, we're here for it. And then that links nicely into themed list building. So one of the other tenets of Horus Heresy, I feel, is that actually often those books then inspire your list writing. So it might be just because that's the way that the Legion works, or it might be that you create a White Scars, Blood Angels, Imperial Fists army because you want to do a Siege of Terror themed kind of like force, and you've got to be in a bonnet about doing a themed force, and that's it, and that's how you build your army, right? So those are the first four, and then finally, and this is going to be critical for today, is the freedom to convert and kit bash. Now, the reason why converting and kit bashing is so important in the Horus Heresy is historical and goes back to 13 years ago when it first started, which was not every option was available to us as individual kits. You couldn't just buy those kits, for example. You often had to use bits from other 40k lines in order to make your models. Now, that embryo of doing that has filtered all the way up to the present day, and is a big part of the Horus Heresy. And one of the reasons why it's a big part is because historically we've always had really extensive war gear options for the majority of units, right? So units can, with the exceptions of, say, like a support squad, units can often mix and match their weapons. Consoles can often take kind of different loadouts, and those consoles were sometimes limited. For example, a Vigilator, I didn't think maybe can't take a jump pack, from 2.0, vaguely remember that. I might be making that up now. But there were some things that were locked and couldn't take certain things. Yeah, but it was and has been an important part. And also, if models don't exist, Heresy enthusiasts were always keen to create their own models by kit bashing and creating something quite unique. And I would say that those are really, I'm sure there are more things you can add to that or kind of change the labels on them, but those are really the 5 core principles at the heart of Horus Heresy, in terms of the hobby. Is there anything you wanted to add, Lee, or would you say that that's kind of a...
No, I agree with that totally. I would add that we had I can't remember what they're called, were they the Imperial Armor, the books they made for building and painting, and they, that was more based on vehicles, but they showed you how to add things to vehicles to make it look more like modern tanks, like battle damage, and adding wires and cables and all sorts of shit. So they literally created books to teach you
how to do these things,
convert your models, even using materials and paints that weren't Games Workshop.
No.
Fucking shock horror. You'd never get that nowadays.
No way.
Yeah, they literally produced books teaching you how to do this. And okay, there were 40k models in there, but let's face it, it was the Heresy that picks that up, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was...
100%. So that's these are going to be the 5 concepts that we're going to run throughout this show, because next up we're then going to talk about the profile of a Heresy gamer. And you might be thinking, where is all this going? But I am leading somewhere with this. So when we look at and these are quite sweeping statements, but when you look at a Heresy gamer, I tried yesterday to come up with a of course,
six-pack.
I tried to come up with a profile for them that might help us to understand exactly the reason why so many people are upset at this moment in time. So, the Heresy gamers are typically people who read the books and enjoy the lore, and they'll probably reread the books as well. Some of their famous, their favorite books, they'll reread and re-listen to those over and over and over again. They generally use plastic and resin. So that's really important. And if they use resin, basically, looking at the website yesterday, at GW's website, Myrmidons, when I was looking at the loadout for those, looking alongside the mech leaks, is described as an expert kit. So these Heresy gamers would be described by GW as hobbying experts. Like, that is their own definition. These guys are experts. They're not guys who have limited understanding of how to build and paint. You know, these guys are like, in terms of Games Workshop's like definitions, these guys are, they mess around with expert model kits. They're probably in general slightly older, and probably. And again, generalization, they probably won't play 40k. Most of their time and investment will be in 30k. There will, of course, be some people who play 40k, but they would tend to probably stick exclusively to 30k and probably not play 40k.
I find within our circle, most people who play another game, it's usually something like the Old World or Wartime.
I think, dare I say it, and this isn't this is not before the comments go absolutely wild. I would even go as far as to say that probably Heresy Gamers view Horus Heresy as a more sophisticated game than 40k. Now, that's not to shit on 40k before I get knifed in the street. It's just that I'm saying that they probably would view it as a more sophisticated game. I have no idea. I haven't played 40k, but they would probably view it as such. They attend events probably quite regularly, and the high standard of hobby means that they want to get painting or paint the best that they can kind of army wide. So just in general, because there's already a high bar within the Horus Heresy of painting, it usually means that people kind of step up to the bar. High expectations lead to people kind of stepping up their own expectations as well. And again, I'm going to emphasize the time on that one. They enjoy the process of kit bashing and converting. That again is going to be important because it also requires learning skills like green stuffing, gap filling, sourcing, and often that sourcing can be quite an expensive process. If you are looking for a bit from like an eBay seller or a shop online, often you're paying for a head, and you're paying over the odds really for heads. For like £3 or £4. If it's a Primarch head, you're paying sort of like £10-15 for a single head, right? So you're paying above the odds for lots of these bits that you could ration with. I think, as I said before, they see 30k as a separate game to 40k. And their heresy is consumption, and this is again a generalization, and probably not over the past 4 days, probably this bucks the trend because everybody's interested in what's going on. But in general, I think heresy players probably consume their content through podcasts and YouTube channels, but not necessarily through bat reps, or not always through bat reps. Most heresy people I speak to would prefer to be playing the game than necessarily watching a 2 hour long bat rep, right? But that's not always the case. People enjoy watching bat reps, but in the general, that's how they consume their media. And if they're a veteran player, they will have models that will go back to probably first edition that could still be used. Not everything, but models that probably could still be used even now in second edition, right? So like a Herald, for example. Like, you could probably port that over from 1.0 to 2.0. That's not for everything, but in the main, I think there's they have not quite witnessed the level of destruction that this third edition has wrought on their hobby before. And then the final thing is they spend a lot of fucking money on this hobby. Time and a lot of fucking money on this hobby, by virtue of the fact that lots of it's in resin, by virtue of the fact that they have there's lots of new plastic kits that are coming out, so they're probably buying all these new plastic kits, a bit of FOMO, worried that it's going to sell out, etc. But the time and the money element is the bit that I do want to emphasize quite clearly.
And I would say that a lot of that, well, not a lot, but that money isn't all going to Games Workshop, is it?
No.
We're talking airbrushes, we're talking paints, we're talking weathering powders, printed parts, all sorts
courses to learn how to paint things. Absolutely. So their hobby is probably all encompassing. So it's a big aspect, and they probably think an awful lot about Horus Heresy and the hobby while they're at work and in their free time as well. So that's also going to be important here. The tenants and the profile is going to be a stick of rock for the remainder of this show. Let's have a look at what's next. So I think that, and it's been interesting seeing people kind of say, I'm going to stick with 2.0, or I'm just going to go with 1.0. And I think that, as Lee said, his preference was 1.0. I really like 2.0. But I'm not that 2.0 has its issues and its problems. Like, so I think that there was an imbalance of weapons, and I think that a really clear imbalance with the Thunderhammers, which is that basically, like, if you were going to upgrade a weapon on a model or a unit, and there was only one obvious choice, it means that the weapons are inherently unbalanced. And if everybody's putting Thunderhammers on their models, it means that the Thunderhammer is too good, right? Dreads were a problem. Now, dreads were a problem in terms of power. However, if what events ended up doing was just capping the number of dreads that you had. So that was so it was never. I never felt like overwhelmed by dreadnoughts, but they could be an issue if you weren't prepared for them, and they were probably an issue in those early days when events weren't capping them. Reaction power in terms of shooting, it was a huge problem, and I suspect that probably goes to the heart of why Lee didn't enjoy the edition so much.
I liked the idea of reactions, but the fact that you could just intercept the fuck out of everything becomes a bit dull. Yeah,
and then points. Values were really never fiddled with. Like, they were very reticent to fiddle around with the Liber points when they really needed fiddling around with. Like, Suzerain needed a big points increase quite relatively early on, but they were always hesitant to play around the base. So, and also that was combined with that you really got the sense that basically a year into 2.0, they were already working on 3.0, so they were just like, look, we'll just let this game run. We won't we'll do a cursory FAQ, but we won't really errata anything, and we won't errata points because we've got a new edition coming 2 years down the line anyway, so we might as well not. So don't get me wrong, like, there were lots of issues with 2.0. Nobody, I mean, some people might say this, but nobody here is saying that it was a perfect game. But lots of these issues could have been probably solved with FAQ, and I think the Heresy community could have been quite happy with another 3 years of it, just kind of like rolling on as 2.5. So I think that's also important to get across, that we're not kind of saying that we lived in a golden age of Heresy. It wasn't perfect, and I strongly feel 1.0, certainly towards the latter end, I felt that the community was left to its own devices and wasn't supported well. Some people feel that 1.0 was a golden age.
I mean, from a purely rules perspective, 1.0 was far from perfect. Like, the psychic phase could just be fucking ridiculous.
And Custodes was and Thousand Suns were just so wildly imbalanced. So
just sit there watching your opponent roll 1,000 dice.
Yeah, exactly. So there were issues. We won't say there weren't issues. Let's see what's my next point. So, and this goes back to what we were saying, and this is where I want to get into the nitty-gritty of kind of like the narrative here. So, I think, despite we were saying it for a very long time, like almost 8 months before the announcement, because let's face it, lots of you guys did not believe us when we said a new edition's coming. I think that many people were caught off guard by the fact that a new edition came, or there was a new edition announcement, because Heresy had not ever been part of that 3-year cycle before, because we had basically first edition for like 10 years. So I think many people were just expecting, well, we'll just let the game just needs to let it run. Like, we're not on a cycle, the 40k and Age of Sigmar cycle. That's not what Horus Heresy is about. Because I spend a lot of time on my army, because I spend a lot of money on kind of investing in my force, because I'm fully invested in this, I don't want to be part of the usual Games Workshop 3-year churn that changes things and changes things and changes things. I am somebody who, I'm older, except and that goes back to the profile, which is, I think, that it caught many people off guard. Now, some people, and then when they did believe us, many people said it will only be a 2.5 edition change. Like, the amount of messages I got being like, you guys are totally wrong. It's a 2.5 upgrade. And it's just cleaning up around the edges. It's not a full-scale like edition change. Like, well, who's fucking laughing now?
Well, not us.
Not us. Yeah, but like, and this
I'd have rather been wrong.
And then, so not only were we caught off guard, but promises were made by Games Workshop by the community articles. So I just want to,
this is the big point, though, isn't it?
This is the So this is the my I've done my opening argument, and now I'm presenting the evidence. And I want to read this to you guys because I think it's important, because I had to trawl right back to the very first articles, and then one most recently with the round table where they did it with the studio team. So they said initially the Warhammer design team have been pretty happy with where the game has been for the last few years, and they've seen this new edition as the opportunity to reinvestigate the core system and make improvements rather than making wholesale changes. Well, fucking excuse me. Like, what a disingenuous statement that is. Like, apart from the fact that things shoot and move and assault, these are wholesale changes within the game.
I guess this is what it comes down to, is how do you actually look at the game? Because if you look at it as like, well, you still move, you still roll dice to shoot, okay, it's not changes, but actually, like, this is a completely new game, isn't it? Like,
yes. So I think that what would have been better phrase was, we are going to provide you with a completely revolutionized version of the Horus Heresy.
The way I was thinking about it a couple of days ago was, if you took someone who'd played first edition Heresy and gave them the second edition rulebook, apart from the fact that the rules were just terribly written, like, within a couple of hours they'd be playing a game and they'd probably be over it. Keep referencing back to the rulebook. If you gave someone who'd only ever played first edition and gave them the third edition rulebook, they'd be like, the fuck is this? Like, this is like, I need to sit down and read this book and then
for days and days and days, like, to get there,
because it is completely different.
100%.
Yeah.
So the jump, and that's an important point actually, which is the jump from 1 to 2 was relatively small. The jump from 2 to 3, there's a gaping chasm in comparison to that first jump. Now, they said a couple of other things. So they said, this is very much the same Horus Heresy game you know and love. Okay. And the team have targeted refinements to a system that already works well. Okay. Making changes only where necessary and adding flavor where they can. Okay. So you can start to see that from this very first Warcom article that I think, quite frankly, promises were made and they have not upheld their end of the bargain. Now, they also said finally, and this is like my knockout punch here, can I still use my current army? In big, bold writing. And the first sentence, 3 words, you totally can. Well, what a load of fucking bullshit is that? Now, if somebody from Warcom said to me, well, we haven't got rid of the Ultramarines, you can still use that. Like, you would just be like, come on, like, for real? Like, some armies, and I think this also, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but some armies have been hit so hard, and some legions have been so hard, like disproportionately harder than others. A great example. I mean, your army got fucked, but just because of the units you've chosen. But Blood Angels, the Blood Angels army has had its soul ripped from it, or its soul is 2.0 and 1.0 soul ripped from it, and the way that they played and the way that list was designed has, I would argue, been the soul has been ripped out of that force, that people are just like looking at their toys being like, I don't even know where to begin with correcting or doing this again. I might as well start an entire army, because actually, like, I don't want to undo the work that I've done here. And we can talk about Angels Tears and Jump Pack consoles a little bit later, but I think that it is utterly disingenuous to have in big bold words saying, can I still use my current army? And it says, you totally can. And they go further. Moreover, the rules on army selection are less restrictive than they've ever been, giving you the opportunity to build thematic armies of your dreams. I mean, if you're a White Scars player right now, you'll say, I mean, I can build a Chagorian Brotherhood army, but my army can't fucking score. Like, so you're saying to me I can build the army that I want to build, but actually, like, in order to engage with the game and have a close game, because again, it's not about utterly destroying your opponent. Everybody goes into the game hoping they're going to win, but also the best games are those close games. Like, and that is not. It's not about kind of. And with the changes in victory points, like you don't want your opponent to get 80 victory points before you see there. So I think that going back to this, I think they've really, really mishandled, and one might go as far as say they have lied to us about the wholesale changes of this. Now, the most recent, or one of the most recent articles, was a round table, which was interesting. But I just want to raise a couple of bits here. So Andy said, and I assume it's Andy Hoare. He said we wanted to start a new journey with the Journals Tacticas, but we knew the latest edition of Age of Dawn had to feel familiar for existing players. Fine. It's not a completely new set of principles and ideas, but there are cool new elements, gambits, tactical stasis, and so on. So there are those things that have been introduced, but also I think that like what would probably be better to say there is that many of the mechanics have actually changed within the rulebook as well. And then Neil said, now I'm sure Neil is a top bloke. There won't be much here that changes how your current army works. I think if you are a Blood Angels player, a White Scars player, I think they would probably beg to differ on that. And there probably are a number, if, for example, at this moment in time, you have a destroyer company of some kind, I think they would probably beg to differ. Now, I'm sure that will come up in the PDFs, but at this very moment in the time of filming, at this moment in time, I think that, unfortunately, they would beg to differ.
And this is where, I mean, we have yet to mention the PDF, and I hope it is, but from the rumors I've heard about the PDF, or not even rumors, I think most of the time it's just hopes, is that this PDF is going to be about 10,000 pages long because it's going to have.
But that's not going to happen. Is it?
We don't know, do we? Like,
no, we don't know. We literally have no idea. Like,
no one knows what's in the PDF, and I don't know. I like to think that some of my units will be in the PDF, or some of the options will be in the PDF. I don't think they will be.
Yeah.
I think if GW have an ounce of common sense, they'll be looking at how the community has reacted and be like, fuck, we need to add some stuff to this PDF.
Yeah.
Because they are not happy. I don't think they will, but we don't know. Until we actually see that, we don't know. But they will have known that this was coming. And they will have known that on their pre-order, when their pre-orders go up for sale, that all their what do you call it? All the people they've given, all the influencers that they've given the rules to will be talking about it. So they know that there's going to be this 2-week period that if there is all this stuff on the PDF and people don't know about it, they're going to be losing their mind.
Yeah.
And I think if there are all these rules and units in the PDF, which no one knows, it would have been sensible to just fucking release it now, because the cat's out the bag. Isn't it? Like, this is the time now to be like, look, we hear you guys and girls. We know you're pissed. Here's the PDF. Look, you can take Volkites on breaches. But then that comes around to, why even fucking take Volkite option off breaches? Just why? It's one sentence. Like, why?
Not even a sentence. It's two words, ... and then like, points.
So I think we will see. But I have zero confidence that this PDF is going to clear up a lot of people's anger.
And this will, I think we will come back to the PDF when we talk about why Games Workshop have probably decided to make this move, and I think go with a masochism strategy in terms of their PR with people. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I think the point I'm trying to make here is not only did this take people by surprise, but also people's fears were allayed by articles which said that there won't be much of a change. Can I use my army? Yes, I can. And it's still the Horus Heresy you know and love. So when you shock people with a new edition, followed by then quite clear statements that things are not really going to change, it sounds like a tinkering around the edges, you you better believe that people will be shocked when leaks occur, and then there are fundamental changes in their army. And this goes back to my point about the profile of the Heresy Gamer, which is that these aren't just people who just like fuck about, like building their models, like not removing the mold lines and paint 3 colors minimum. These are people that go above and beyond in terms of their hobby because they're proud of their hobby. Like, again, not everybody, but the majority of people I know go above and beyond in their hobby, and they do incredible work. And you better believe that if you start fucking about with that army, they're going to be fucking pissed off.
But I mean, to be honest, like, even if you have just fucking whacked 3 colors on, your unit is now unusable. Like, that person is just as justified to be pissed off. Yeah. Because they've brought those products from Games Workshop.
Yeah.
And now they can't use that unit. So, like, don't get me wrong. Obviously, our argument is, you know, Heresy players tend to put a lot more time and effort in. But even if you haven't fucking painted them, you still brought it. Like, you still made that thing, and now it can't be used. You're like, fuck, thanks, GW. I brought these products off you, and now they can't be used. But I think you're totally right. And I think this has been an ongoing thing with Warcom articles, is they set an expectation. And I don't think they do it to be malicious.
No.
I just don't think they think. I think they just type something out and they're like, of course you can use that army.
Yeah. It's almost like, you know, it's almost like, they're almost like, let's calm the horses, let's steady the boat, let's make sure there's not any upset. But by doing that and not ripping by doing that, you know, you're not managing people's expectations well. That's the problem. Like, the issue is not that there are changes. It's the issue with the way these. I mean, there is an issue that there are changes, but one of the issues is that the way that in which expectations were managed, and I think expectations were probably managed pretty poorly.
I think the thing that makes me laugh is I said in one of our shows when they released the timeline, I was like, GW have done a good job of letting militia players know that they're army. And I was worried about like Black Shield players, militia players. I wasn't thinking about myself. I was like, well, obviously they're not going to fuck around.
And that's a fair point, isn't it? Which is that along this journey, they've actually made some good decisions, which we praise them for, and kind of gone, actually doing this kind of like kind of map of what's coming, that's a great, like, that is good. So there's some, they've got some swings and a hit, but they've also got many swings and a miss. So
we haven't seen the militia PDF. It's like 2 units.
Oh god, it's gonna be, I'm anxious. Anyway, let's take a quick break here, and then we will continue and have a look at maybe the other side of the argument. But there are other things that I want to get to as well. So let's take a quick break here.
It's time to upgrade your battlefield with Sacrus Mundus terrain. Sacrus Mundus sculpt breathtakingly detailed and varied terrain that will bring your games of Horus Heresy to life. From the ruined cities of Armoria to the jungle vestiges of Lintrath, Sacrus Mundus design immersive battlefields for any type of tabletop wargaming experience you desire. Find their extensive terrain collections online right now.
Right, welcome back. So let's get into what some of the changes are, because we've talked about changes in a nebulous way, but let's talk about why this is so controversial, especially if you stumbled upon this show and you don't know anything about Horus Heresy. What's been going on? So we had an issue of people being caught off guard by an edition change. Then the rule book leaked, and then people were caught off guard by the extent of changes. And then the Libers leaked, and then they have been even more caught off guard by the number of changes within there. So let's talk about why it's so controversial. So there have been significant changes to war gear options. So the bit that I started with, which was about conversion, time, money, finding bits, all those kind of things that are the core principles of Heresy and the profile of a Heresy gamer, lots of those things have now been undone. So, and by significant changes, I mean really significant changes. So characters and units, many of them are becoming validated. So if I just take 2 examples of my own, I have a Tartarus with a Thunderhammer and it's a Herald that can no longer be taken. That's not a thing that could be taken anymore. Now you could say, well, that'll learn you, Rob, for taking the best the Thunderhammer in the game. That will learn you. And then I've also got a Jump Pack Herald with a Thunderhammer as well. And which I spent a very, very long time on, kind of converting Nathaniel Gary's torso, like lots of bits from various places, lovingly painted, and that's just been literally obliterated in one fell swoop. But I have a number of other units that can't be that can't be taken now. As Lee said, you've got your Forge Lords, which you at this moment in time you can't take, right?
Yes. So, well, no, there is no Forge Lord, is there?
Well, there's no Forge, so unless the PDF
unless
comes
it's in the
along.
PDF.
Yeah.
So, Warsmith, you can only take a Terminator Warsmith now. There's no power armored Warsmith, so I can't use my Warsmith.
Yeah.
Forge Lord, basically is gone,
Yeah.
which then means my Thalax can't be taken
Used.
as part of a Legion force.
Yeah.
I had a Terminator Tartarus Herald that is obviously no longer a thing because he's in Terminator armor.
Yeah.
I had a Tartarus Command Squad, but they've all got fucking Power Fists.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we haven't talked about that one yet, but we will get onto that one in a second.
What else? Like I've mentioned, my breaches all have Volkite, which is now not a thing.
Yeah.
So
you've been really hit, haven't you? Really,
yeah,
really hit. Right. Okay. It's interesting because here's a Forge Lord that I painted. This was sculpted by Amphiarus as a commission for a client. So my client got this built by Amphiarus, the man, the myth, and the legends. He then sent it to me to get it painted, and now this Forge Lord, which he got, doesn't exist. Look at that.
Yeah,
Absolutely incredible.
I brought a 40k. I don't know what they're called, like Chaos.
Yeah.
Forge Lord.
Yep.
And then I kit bashed it and converted it, scraped all the chaosy bits off, and brought a load of heresy bits off eBay and stuff. And yeah, and now it might as well just go in the fucking bin.
Literally obliterated. Okay.
And like I say, it might be in the PDF, but that still leaves a bit of taste in my mouth because, why is it not just in the rule book?
In the rule book,
just give me my Forge Lord that has been here for the last
however many years,
13, 14, 15 years.
Yeah. Exactly. So let's talk about Power Fist, right? So it is amazing the amount of arguments I've had with people that have said that Tartarus can still take Power Fist. No, they cannot. Tartarus are not capable anymore of taking Power Fists. They come with a power weapon. That does not mean it means it can be a Power Fist, and it says very clearly at the top of the power weapon section of which Power Fist is in there. If a model in its profile has the power weapon, it means it is a mace, an axe, a sword, or a lance, not any other weapon. And then there is no option to upgrade those. Now, what's even funnier and what is even more of an own goal from GW is that you can still buy Tartarus Terminators, and on the box art, there's still fucking Tartarus Terminators with fucking Power Fists on them. Like, it's infuriating. Like, I looked at the rule book last night and I was like, oh, that's interesting. They've got a beautifully painted Space Wolves army there. Oh, hang on. Those Varagir Terminators, they've got Thunderhammers on them. You can't take fucking Thunderhammers. And I was like, maybe he's using it as like a command squad, because I suspect this is what many people are going to do, which is like maybe try and convert models or kind of like move them over, give them demotions, give them promotions in different sections. And I read it and it literally says, you know, James has surrounded his Lehman Russ and is joining them together with Lehman Russ to destroy some space wizards, and these are his Varagir. So like even the rule book has not like anticipated the fact that these overwhelming changes of war gear options, but the Tartarus one is almost it's unforgivable. And I think the thing is, Games Workshop will be like, well, they'll gaslight us into being like they were always meant to be lightning claws, right? I mean, that is going to be very, very frustrating for people. And if you did like a first company force of Tartarus, like World Eaters, and went for the Power Fist and combat, I saw a lad's army who's basically like his 4 troop choices were Tartarus and Power Fist, like gone. Obliterated, from existence. Now, some people I understand will just be like, well, just add buy some new models, right? Or just just use them as something different, or want,
isn't it?
And he just but again, let's go back to right at the start where we talked about the profile. How much it's not just about the fact they're invalidated; it's about the effort and time they've spent painting them.
I mean, what I will say, like Games Workshop, if you're listening, is you don't have to ruin my current options for me to buy new models.
No.
Like me buying new models is not something you have to worry about. If you produce cool models,
Yes.
I will buy those models.
Yes.
And here's a fucking newsflash. Like I literally have Mechanicum Battle Group, Mechanicum Heavy Support Force. Like I've got it split down, but the Astartes Battle Group. Like I have all this shit brought, just sat on my shelf that I'll probably never do anything with. I'll tell you what I'm not going to have on my shelf, the Saturnine box set.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, fuck it, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
Like that was just a conscious decision of me being like, you know what? If you want to be a bunch of bellends, I'll be a bellend. I'm not going to fucking buy it. I'll buy the rule book off eBay, which I brought, 28 quid, bosh, done.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like it's almost like the ultimate own goal. And I have to say, like, this is, I don't know if this is the place to talk about it, but this feels like it's almost like big businesses do this, don't they?
Yes.
They go after money, they go after money, they go after money to the point that they fuck off their client base and then they start running out of money because they've fucked off their client base so much that people go, you know what? I'm just going to stop spending my money.
Yeah.
Like it is such an own goal. The amount of people, I don't know what their sales are doing, but I was looking at the pre-order and there was loads of stuff that was still available from various different stores. And normally these are the sorts of things that run out immediately and they just haven't. And I just feel like, my God, this is such a fucking own goal.
Yeah.
Because I really do believe, like, the rules changes came out, the books leaked, and I know Games Workshop tried to stop books leaking, but how they don't factor in that this is going to happen, because it happens every time.
They just need to go.
System.
They just need to.
You just need to factor that in.
Like, and also just go electronic. Like, stop selling books. Just go electronic, and then.
But even then, someone would probably take pictures of a computer screen. Like, you just have to. You have to factor in that these rules are going to leak. Like, just have that as part of your business plan. I've never worked in business. I've never worked in retail. I don't have a fucking clue about how to run a business. But what I can tell you is they always leak.
Yeah.
So just factor that in. But the rules leaked and people were like, what the fuck is this? You told us there wasn't going to be much big changes. But then, you know, after a few days, people were like, well, actually, like, obviously some people will be pissed and they're like, fuck it, I'm not playing. I'm going to stick with second. That's fine. That's your decision. Like, I totally respect that decision. But there were a lot of people that were starting to go, you know what? I actually quite like this. I like the idea of that. I like the idea of this. Yes. And then the Libers leaked and it was like, what the shit in hell? Like you literally just got out of that trough of people being like, this is bullshit. And then they were hit with a double whammy of like, well, I did like the rules, but now none of my army can be used. You're like,
I did like the rules, but now I can't play with the new rules. Like, because I think the thing is for people, it's not like, and I think trying to explain this, which is that like, it is rare that Horus Heresy players would just turn up to a game with unpainted miniatures, you know, and often when you're doing miniatures, like when I paint or when many people paint, they're working in sub-assembly. It's not like you just build it and play it. Like you can't play with it until it's built, because sometimes you're working in many sub-assemblies. So that means that you're going to go, oh, for fuck's sake, it's now another 6 months until I have an actual army ready to go, because I want to spend time on making it look good. Anyway, so I completely take your points. But one of the other things I would say is that lots of the things within the Libers are almost nonsensical at this moment in time with the picture that we've got. So some armies have become totally invalidated, or the way that the playstyle. So the Day of Revelations is a really, really good example. The fact that you can only deep strike in the main one thing at a time. That's not. Some things change that, but in the main. But inexplicably, apparently, Linnaeans gained a whole load of options more than they had before. And Justerin have a load of options that they had before. And Sekhmet had a load of options before. So not only have you invalidated armies, you've also, well, what has also inadvertently happened is you created resentment between, like an actual civil war has broken out. And it's interesting, listening, the most amount of people that I've heard say, and this sounds bad, but the most amount of people who I've heard say, look, it's not that bad, are coincidentally Sons of Horus players who've got generally a buff to their force and have been have been kind of got off scot-free in terms of the rules drop kind of like War Gear massacre. So of course, you know, obviously they're going to be kind of a bit like, nah, everything is fine with me, right? You know, as somebody with Angel's Tears and Iliastus assault cannons kind of like weeps as their £200 unit is just disintegrated, right? And then Linnaeans also got like loads more options. And I think it's really important to say that not every legion was hit equally. So lots of it at this moment in time seems nonsensical.
No, I think this is a very valid point, because obviously the thought process is that Games Workshop have just gone, you can only run what's available in the box.
Yeah.
But this isn't the case.
Yeah.
Because I saw a potato can picture of the Thalax rules.
Yeah.
And you can give every single one multi-melters.
Yeah.
That's my understanding. Is you can.
No, that's right. Yeah, no, you're right.
Every single
right.
model can. Well, the box set doesn't, as far as I'm aware,
it doesn't. No. I can 100%. It only comes with 2 multi-melters, 2 of each weapon. Yeah.
So you can't actually run it. So being like, oh well, you can't take Volkite on your breaches because, you know, the plastic set we've got coming out doesn't have Volkites is bullshit, because I can put multi-melters in every one of my Thalaxes. Yeah. But Thalax don't come with the option in the kit. So that doesn't make any sense.
So loads of it's nonsensical. I suspect that what this means is that basically Linnaeans and Justerian are probably going to be the first, dare I say, plastic upgrade. Kit.
Maybe.
Like, and then they will be the first ones with this kind of like cataphracti kit, and that's the reason for it. But the problem is, without the information, everybody's scratching their head, being like, "What the actual fuck is going on? Just tell us, and then at least we know where we stand." And lots of these issues, it's just like about knowing where you stand. We can deal with it, we can plan, but we got to know where we stand. And this drip feeding of information is just like, it's not like I'm just I understand why they want to like drip feed. I understand it, but it's a very, very confusing picture from a biased point of view.
By feeding information, it must be having a negative impact.
Oh my god,
sales. It's gotta be. Like, I don't believe for a second that this isn't having an impact on their sales. And not just that, like the whole fucking vibe. Like, I don't go on social media very often. I just don't. I don't have time. I look at cool pictures on Instagram. That's generally it. Like, I just don't really do social media. But what I have seen of social media, if I was a new player looking to get into Heresy over the last week,
well, let's just go to the next slide actually, because we got by. I think here we go. So by the power of, like, me and Lee can't actually see this right now, but by the power of videography, you can currently see us going through the comments on the YouTube video about how to play that landed on Saturday, and oh boy, they are spicy.
Salty.
They are spicy. Sorry, I interrupted you there, Lee. Go on. You were saying that basically, like, it's an absolute clusterfuck on social media, basically.
Yeah. Like, I've had people message me on the Patreon. People have messaged me who I don't know, and they're like, "Is this the community?"
Yeah.
And I'm a bit like, it kind of isn't. But also, at the minute, it kind of is.
Yeah.
Like, I have noticed a lot of people just joining on the Hate Wagon, and I've seen a lot of people that when you actually, like, if I read an Instagram comment and then I look on their profile, they don't have a single Heresy model, and I'm like, you're just jumping on the Hate Wagon,
the Hate GW wagon,
which I kind of get, but all right. But then there are a lot of people that are, you know, been playing Heresy for a long time. A lot of people that jumped on in second edition, and they are literally like, you have just fucking killed my army off, And that is not a good sales pitch if you're looking to get into it. And even like the influencers who have been supported by GW, even them, like, obviously they spin probably a slightly prettier picture than
they pull.
We are.
I think it's probably, I would say that they pull their punches a little bit.
But they're still being. I've read and seen. I mean, I haven't watched. I haven't watched any videos because I just haven't had the time. But
you watched Pardo's one though.
Yes, I watched Pardo's. Yeah. Sorry, and even that was like the good, the bad, the ugly. Like, you know, and I think he was quite straight with what he said. You know, like, it hurts. You know, they've got all those Tartarus Terminators that can't be used.
Like 40 times. Oh my god, it was
like,
horrendous.
Fuck, you know what I mean? And it's just like. This is not a good sales pitch. This is you want hype, like pre-orders going up. You want people like, fuck yeah, I can't wait to build my new army, or I can't wait to add on to my army, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And people are just like, fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, there's two things for me to pick out of that one. I think it was pretty tone deaf of GW to look, I get that the embargo is lifted on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and I understand that, but it's not a great look where you have 300 content creators basically being like, oh, all these Saturnine models they're so great, oh, you should buy them, oh, GW amazing, thanks ever so much for sending them to me, as like people's armies lay in ruins, like just what I need, what I need, an influencer telling me how great GW is they roundly fuck me,
and especially as the Saturnine models themselves have, they are Marmite. I like you like them. A lot of people don't like them. So even those models have caused like a slight division. Like a lot of people are just like, I don't like them, I won't use them. Whatever. But that alone has caused slight, division in the community. And then it's like, oh, by the way, I also can't use my army.
What they have done though is what I would say is that, and because we'll get to the business element in a second, but they've really gone for a masochism strategy, which is that they haven't disabled comments on videos and things like that, which they could easily do. What they've almost done is kind of just go, look, we knew this was going to be controversial, and we're just going to, like a politician, when they've been caught in doing something naughty with their fingers in a till, they will often like go through something called a masochism strategy, which was, and that would tend to be, they would take as many questions as newspaper as journalists would have, and it would go on for hours until they have no more questions left, and it almost tire out the journalists, and it almost feels like that, which is like let all the poison come out, from their point from their point of view. But let's just go to the next slide. Let's talk about the flick. Oh yes, this is if you enjoy Peep Show, this is I think where people are probably feeling right now. But as I would say, lots of people are probably along that stage of grief for their army and starting towards acceptance. But let's just have a look at the flip side. So I think I think I should be really clear and say it is quite clear that we are cross about the changes, and there's no way around it. And also I feel sorry for people, and also anybody who wants to whine and moan in our comments below about this situation, please feel free. This is an occasion where actually you have legitimate grievances that actually should be aired, and if it makes you feel better to air those legitimate grievances, it is not like that's okay, because like you will have lost something here, and time and money is one of those.
And I think on the flip side, if you're happy, and there will be people out there who are like, what, I'm looking forward to this, and I am to an element looking forward to it, but that has been massively deflated by the fact that I can't use my army.
But
if you think fuckily like he shouldn't be allowed to use Volkites on his breaches, like let us know. Like honestly, like for everyone that thinks this is bullshit, there'll be for every 1,000 people that think this is bullshit, there'll be someone who's like, you know what, actually, fuck you.
I mean, because there's a good argument to say, oh, my mate Bill completely fucked me every time I played with him with Thunderhammer Caesarean. And you kind of go, actually, rebalancing those war gear options was probably in the long term healthier for the game. But did it need a complete removal of Thunderhammers from Suzerain, or did it just mean that Suzerain either needs to be more expensive, or that Thunderhammers need to be like 50 points or 50 points per each on a Suzerain, right? So like, is there other ways that could have been rebalanced rather than just utterly kind of
I mean, even the Tartarus argument, as they've obviously gone, well, part of me is like, is this just a mistake? Did they actually, do you not think, because the weapon option is literally, because the Cataphracti...
A mistake would be, it was on the Tartarus and not on the Tartarus Command Squad, but it's on the Tartarus Command Squad as well. That's a mistake is like the Gorgon Terminators having no shooting weapon. That's a mistake.
Well, isn't the Tartarus just the normal choice? It has a 4+ invuln, but all the other Tartaruses have a 5+ invuln. I think...
No, I think there's a Cataphracti. I think there's a Cataphracti plate, data slate, Terminator data, Tartarus data slate, and I think that they're separate data slates.
Yeah, no, you're right, because it's on the command squad as well, isn't it?
So let's just have a look at where the responsibility lays, and we're just going to try and flip this, and this will really infuriate people, I'm sure. But we're going to try and flip this one now. So I've seen a lot of people kind of saying, basically, playtesters are public enemy number one, and rules writers are public enemy number one. Now, I think that's a little unfair from both towards the playtesters and the rules writers. To me, because those rules writers are gamers. Like, it's not like these people are like, I fucking hate the Horus Heresy and I hate the Heresy community. I'm going to completely and utterly fuck them over. This feels to me like a business decision and just a general policy of GW. Yeah. And I think that it's really and I suspect it's threefold. And if anybody disagrees with me, that's fine. Put it in the comments below. Don't call me an utter twat, but this is just my thoughts. Which is,
you are an utter twat, but don't call them that.
Fair. The first one is to combat 3D printing. Yeah. The second one is to combat recasts, which is that basically if you can convert everything to plastic or whatever, then there's almost no need to buy multiples of the same model to create cool conversions or whatever. And then the third one, so if you take an example of somebody new to the hobby and they go, I would like to create a jump pack siege breaker model, and I see that there's a profile for a jump pack siege breaker model, and I'd like to arm him with a power axe because I think that's really, really cool. That person walking into Warhammer World goes up to that person and says, "Yeah, I'd like to make a jump pack prated with a power axe because that's an option in the Codex or the Libers. Can you show me on the wall where that model is, please?" And then that Warhammer employee has got to go, right. So basically, what you need to do is buy this siege breaker for the torso. You need to buy this close combat weapon kit for the power axe, and also you need to buy this 10-man squad for the jump pack because we don't sell power axes and jump packs individually. You have to buy this whole things. So a siege breaker that would cost around 30 quid is now going to cost you nearer to £100 to buy that single model. Now, just a single model costing 30 quid is a lot of money, I think, quite frankly. But from their perspective, I can imagine that they just go, this for new players, this could be alienating and probably quite confusing. And therefore, like, we just want to slim the options down to essentially what they have, or at least like limit the options a lot more than what they've currently got, not completely, but maybe what they've currently got, in order to make it easier for new players to get into it. But I suppose my counter argument, if somebody from the board of directors of Games Workshop came here and came on Heresy Hammer, I think my argument to them would be, I would go back to the profile of a Heresy Gamer and say, you already have that game, don't you? Which is Warhammer 40k. Horus Heresy attracts a different kind of player with a different kind of profile, which enjoys the kit bashing or modeling element. And surely it's better to have different kinds of games on your books rather than having the same game on your books would be my argument. Now they might say, look, buddy, it's all about the shareholders and all about the bottom line and all about that injection of cash every time a new game comes along. And I think we could kind of go backwards and forwards on it. But this does not feel to me like a playtester or rules writer's decision.
No. So,
but what's your thoughts?
So my counter argument to that, because I do agree with what you're saying, and I think it is a valid point. You know, I do think GW is doing a lot of this to counter 3D printing and recasters.
Yes.
Like they've obviously, I mean, they've been hammering people lately. They've been going after people hard. Yeah. But there are obviously certain countries that they cannot go into, or just don't give a fuck and just tell them to piss off.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, I think, you know what? Yeah, this makes perfect sense. Like, whether I agree with it or not, you know, like it makes sense from a business point of view. It does make sense. Where to me it doesn't make sense is, okay, I want to go into the shop. I go into the Games Workshop shop. I'm like, hi, I want to make my Thalax unit with all multi-melters. Where can I buy that pack?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. So they haven't actually changed anything.
No.
Because there's still units in the game where you would have to go and source those
You'd have to buy
parts.
or buy 3 boxes,
Yeah.
which which is the same problem as they had before.
Again, when you first get into the game, maybe you would do that. But if you've been in the game for a while, if you've been in the hobby for a while,
Yeah.
or if you just do a fucking basic Google search, you will realize, like, well, fuck it, I'll just buy all these 3D printed multi-motors, because why am I going to do that? You know, or I'll buy the resin parts that I need off a bit shop, or however it is you source those bits. And then again, going back to the like jump pack character, like, no, you can't buy that. But for like the last 14 odd years, you haven't been able to buy that.
Yeah.
And we've done all right. You know what I mean? Like, no one's fucking struggled with that.
Yeah.
And then
fair.
the way I would look at it is that's part of the game. That's part of the history.
Yeah.
Is that. So rather than just cutting it out, why not actually put a part in the fucking rule book that talks about kit bashing and this and that, and explain in the rule book, look, some of these models you might not be able to have the bits for, but Heresy has a long history of kit bashing and da. And people they'll buy it. Like, fuck, I do it. I've brought kits that I'll never use just for parts to add to other models.
You
know,
I mean, that's as an idea. I think, you know, you could actually sell a second Horus Heresy masterclass, which is about kit bashing and things like that, right?
But
like,
just an up-to-date one that only has GW products, and I understand that, you know. But I just think they really went about it the completely wrong way. I think they, and I guess the trouble is, at the end of the day, they are a business, and they've just gone, you know what, fuck them. Eventually they'll get over it. We'll have a whole load of new people in, and they'll just buy it anyway. So fuck them, it doesn't matter. I think that is like what has happened. I think that's what's happened. And I don't think, I mean, all the rumors I have heard is that the playtesters and rules writers pushed back on this hard, and actually we got more options than we were originally going to get. That's what I have heard. I don't, like, you know, these aren't reliable sources. Like, it could be totally wrong, but this is 100% feels like a senior management decision. And I think it is like bit them in the arse now, but I think eventually people will move on and they'll get over it, and people will move away from the heresy, but they'll come back, because the trouble is, we love the fucking heresy.
That's the problem, isn't it? Yeah, because people rage against the business. And I think when I say the business, I think it's not like the business as a whole. I'm saying, you know, it's not, for me. It's not like the rule writers or playtesters.
No,
the business is the faceless, faceless management. But they just fucking love the IP. I mean, that's the thing, and they just, as you say, they just keep on coming back for it.
Yeah. And I am exactly the same. And I will be honest. Like, I mean, obviously, we will keep doing Heresy 3rd edition.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not one of these that can play an old edition. I just can't. Like, it has, I mean, like I've said, I actually really like the rules of 3rd edition. The Liber has fucked me. Like, don't get me wrong, I am a fucking, you cunt. Like, because I don't get time to do anything. I have kids, I have a family, I work, you know. Like, literally the last 4 days I've been in work and I've had no time to do anything else. Like, I don't get time to do much. So having to snap weapons off is going to fucking infuriate me. And not just that, it's going to piss me off, because my fucking OCD doesn't like me breaking up my models.
No.
You know, and I will wait to see the PDF, but all I will be thinking is, yes, but this is a PDF. By 4th edition, are they going to get rid of all these legacy units?
Yeah.
You know, and that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah. But, okay, if we just go to the next slide, just to show how the analogy I would make, which is that the problem, I think, you know, the whole discussion we've had is that it just strikes me that basically you've got a Games Workshop policy coming along the track on one side in one direction, the tenets of Heresy coming along the track on another direction, and the two have just collided. And what I would say is that from many Heresy players' point of view is that, you know, by doing this, you've almost undermine the tenets of Horus Heresy. So freedom to convert and kit bash. Now, so I think Games Workshop could legitimately say, you've got the freedom to do that, you fucking twats. You've got a Centurion model. Like, just like make your your champion with Terminator armor. Just make it a Centurion and stop crying about it. Like, I think give him a demotion, making a Centurion. But I think that in that regard, I think that's where they would probably push back a little bit. But I think that people still, despite that, people's got legitimate grievances around, okay, well, basically you've killed some of my creativity. Yeah. I think that themed list building, well, okay, I mean, not being able to score with any kind of cavalry, has completely undermined White Scars players as an example. So for them, not for everybody, but for them, they will probably feel, I wanted to run an all cavalry list, but actually it's not going to perform on the tabletop.
Because I'm not down with the White Scars rules. So would they still get Vanguard, or did they just get nothing?
No, they get fuck all. Okay. No, so unless the Vanguard is in their thing. I'd have to check, but there's not going to be like fucking Justarian Vanguard 4 if they do have Vanguard. But no, cavalry can't score, so it's not in terms of painting, so I think that what you've done, or what they've done, is kind of go, well, all this hard work you've done, basically, it undoes a lot of the hard work you do. And then in terms of gaming, removing options, I think for some people is always going to be a negative thing, and locking things is always going to be a negative experience, and they'll feel like that actually, some of their gaming has been affected. So what I think a business decision goes against, for many people, will feel like the tenets of the Horus Heresy. And you could argue it was inevitable. With Heresy becoming more popular and going plastic, it was going to be subsumed into the greater kind of like GW kingdom, and it was no longer on the outside, Forge World, kind of like on the periphery, just doing whatever the fuck they wanted. And it's almost been a victim of its own success, but it's not kept many of the things that veteran players have absolutely loved and adored about it over the years. That's would be the arguments, I think, on either side. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, let's have a look at let's just wrap it all up. And so just what happens now. So we got to wait for the PDF. I think people are expecting this PDF to be about 1,000 pages long, to like a universal panacea. I think that people, to be honest, are going to be disappointed because I think that this is, as we said, this is a GW policy. I'm sure that playtesters and rules writers would love to put like as many units as possible in there. Fucking shove your Fulmintaris in there, Rob, whatever. But I suspect it's going to be.
If they had any ounce of common sense, the management would be like, you know what, actually, those things you said you want to do, put them in the PDF. Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to be proved wrong. Yeah.
War gear options for the community. So we've been approached by a number of people. This is the first time I've ever said I could actually get on board with a 2-pager, a 1-pager war gear community PDF, and I'd be, couple of people have mentioned it to us, and I think we're quite keen to do that. Give it the Heresy Hammer kind of like seal of approval with other podcasters and YouTube channels.
I think
even as a short-term measure to allow people to play, to get a sense of the rules for 12 months until they can correct some of the things with their army. And then you kind of go, we're just going to start phasing this thing out. But for 12 months, just to allow people just to transition straight into the game rather than having to get rid of things. I can really, I actually think that I could get on board with that. I'm not one. Many people love the Panoptica. It's big in Europe, less big in the UK. And I've never been massively on for community changes that fiddles with core, and nor would I want to do something that changes core mechanics of a game. But points levels, I think you can play around that at least for a short-term period. Are we on the 3-year cycle? I'd really fucking love to know that, because that will 100% affect how I would hobby in the future. Will things just be changed? Will they not? I really want to know that.
I mean, this is the trouble now, isn't it? They've set the precedents. Am I going to buy this unit that's available from Games Workshop, and then in 3 years' time, they're going to say, that unit that we sold you, you can't use those weapons.
Or Thalax can't all take multi-melters anymore.
Yeah.
Because that's not what's in the box.
I 100% see that getting fact. I would say that now. I 100% see that getting fact. I would hold off building entire 6-man 9-man, whatever squads
Yes.
of Thalax with multi-melters, because I will be fucking amazed if that doesn't get fact.
Yeah.
I'll just say that now. I could be totally wrong, but I will be very surprised, because that seems, considering how good melter seems to be in this edition, that seems batshit.
Yeah. It's nuts.
But yeah, it's this is the trouble now, isn't it? They have lost the confidence, certainly of the veteran community, certainly of people who've been in the game, you know, who got into the game second edition, whatever. Like they have, I feel like we are talking in our circle. You know, I can only see what I've seen on the internet, which I haven't really looked at a huge amount, and what has been talked about in the WhatsApp groups that I'm on. I feel like they have 100% lost the confidence of the community, because they literally have fucking pictures of models in the rule book, and you can't use that unit, how that is pictured. So
yeah, I mean, they showed a picture of a destroyer the other day on their Instagram feed. I was like, oh, that's a real swing.
Well, not only that, they had the Raven Guard Dreadnought, the entire Raven Guard Dreadnought, which can't be brought, and a destroyer that can't be run. So
yeah. I think I mean, I have no doubt that destroyers are going to come. Like they will come back in the PDF, but probably. And then I think that basically a lot of people are just thinking, okay, well, am I just basically playing 40k, but it's just Space Marine 40k now? Like, and I think that's a legitimate thing to worry about, which is this like, are we going to see because the rules themselves are still complicated.
Yeah.
And I was told off by somebody the other day for saying that they're just words, just read them, and that I was a little dismissive of people's concerns there. But it is a complicated game in terms of the rules. Sometimes they do need a couple of reads to be able to kind of get them in your head.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But that's always been the case.
Is it ultimately a dumbing down of kind of like war gear options and not being able to say those things? So
I don't think it is. I think we're angry because people have armies that now can't be used. I think if those units had came out with those options, no one would be here moaning about it. No one would be saying, oh, well, it comes with Powerfist. If Powerfist had never been an option and you could only ever run them as lightning claws or dual lightning claws, no one would be having this conversation. The fact that for the past, however long it is, 13, 14, 15 years, I can't, I'm not sure how long it is, but you have been able to run that unit like that. The pictures is on the box. Even in the new Heresy style box, you have pictures of Tartarus with Powerfist, and now you're saying it can't be used like that.
Yeah.
That's just fucking dumb. That's just dumb.
That's really an own goal from them.
I mean, I couldn't tell you it's 30k, 40k because I haven't played 40k since 7th edition.
Yeah.
I don't think it is. I think it's still very much a separate thing. I think, like I say, I honestly believe if they hadn't messed around with the war gear options, the vast majority of the community would be getting hyped for 3rd edition.
Yeah.
I think you'll have a lot of people that just like, you know what, the rules have changed too much, I'm out. But I think for all those people that would be out, you'd have new people getting excited. But I really do think that just by not adding a few options, they have absolutely fucked off the entire community.
Yeah,
which is
apart from Sons of Horus players, of course, because they did pretty well.
It's quite an ability.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we've tried to see it from all angles. We've tried to be fair. Let us know what you guys think. We will leave the comments open. As long as you're not calling me and Lee bellends and GW knob suckers, then we will keep your comments up. As just try and keep it sensible and try and keep it coherent.
Like I say, I've reached that point now where I'm just like, it's just a fucking shame.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm like, I can't use my army. I literally
can't,
unless there's this PDF is some amazing thing that
it's the size of the Libers themselves. Yep.
I literally can't use my army.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Okay, right. Let's just finish up. So, just want to say big thank you to our top tier patrons. As we haven't mentioned it so far in the furore, but we do have a Patreon. It's got over 1,000 members now, so which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, if you want to support me and Lee, basically. To buy new models to replace the ones that were completely and utterly fucked, then please go and support us on Patreon. And just a particular thank you to our top tier patrons. The hoodies, I received the hoodies today, so I'm gonna
I've had a few questions about them.
Do a fashion show for Lee tonight. Send him some photos, and we'll get the order format in the next 48 hours for you guys. And then just a final one, just to all our socials. If Lee just quickly moves over to the next one, just he's zoned out there.
Oh God!
I don't know what's that. Something's happening. I don't know what's. Oh God!
I don't know what I pushed. Oh no!
Look
at that. That's cool, isn't it?
That's fun, isn't it? Anyway, so just to say, we'll have to play around with this. Who knows what Lee's pushed or done, whatever. Support us on Patreon so we can pay for some
IT lessons.
IT lessons, yeah. Anyway, so we just want to say, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can support us on Patreon. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. You can listen to us on Spotify. If you've got any questions about lists and things like that, I'm sure there will be lots of questions at the moment. Then you can send it to heresyhammer30k@gmail.com. And if you'd like to join in the conversation, then don't forget to join our WhatsApp community group. The link can be found on our Instagram link page. We did put it on our heresyhammer.com website, but unfortunately we got a few bots, so we had to take it away from there. And then the bots have stopped, believe it or not, because we've taken it all off of there. So go through the link tree, the Instagram link tree. And then if you're looking for Heresy events to attend moving forward, with hopefully a usable army or an army where we have helped to create a PDF with war gear options, then you can visit heresyhammer.com, where you will find a UK events page with all the UK Horus Heresy events on it. Anyway, with that one, thanks ever so much for it, guys. Again, I think from mine and Lee's perspective, we do feel sorry for those people who've lost out. We feel very jealous of those people who have lucked in, like Sons of Horus players. We will get through this together. We look forward to making more content with you, and we are here for emotional and spiritual support. So anyway, with that, guys, take it easy, and we shall see you on the next one.
Take care.